Greetings. It's June 11th, 2025. This is a spontaneous live. I did not announce it. I just felt like going live. There's just so much happening, you know? And time is so weird now. It's like, you know, so much happens in a day that it feels like several days. So I thought I would jump on here and give some updates and get some updates from people. Hello, welcome. Let me know where you're streaming in from. Let me know what part of the country you're in. And then also, if you don't mind, put in the chat whether or not there are any people's parades where you are. What's going on where you are? I've heard about a lot of solidarity marches, people in solidarity with us in Los Angeles, and that's been awesome. So if you're having a solidarity event, let me know. Or if you're having your own people protector events, I've been hearing about people protector events and marches in, where did I hear about it today? Colorado today? Chicago suburbs. Hey, I grew up in Chicago. I also grew up in the suburbs. I lived in both places. I lived in the city of Chicago, and then I also lived in North Chicago, if you know where that is. North suburbs. Michigan, Arizona, New Mexico, Ontario, Canada, Wisconsin, Scottsdale. My dad's in Scottsdale. Alabama. Welcome, everybody. Just coming out here for a spontaneous live to talk about what's going on. So I've been giving some updates on my channel. I've been doing posts about what's going on here in Los Angeles. And I wanted to hear from other people what's going on in your town. A lot of solidarity marches. So I guess I'll start with some, how many people are here? I'll start with some updates. 46. Okay, I guess I can start with some updates. So I've been doing some volunteer work in Los Angeles, helping with gathering supplies, medical supplies, dropping off supplies at the medic supply centers, and also offering to medic. I've also been organizing a medic's tent for our big protest on Saturday, our No Kings protest. And I just found out today that the organizers also have a medic tent, so we're trying to collaborate and see if we can work together. I'm also collaborating with some other organizations, and we're getting some medic training sessions together and just trying to gather medics. And the great thing about what the work we're doing is that I'm gathering a really diverse set of medics, people who are of various backgrounds, and also, you know, people who are ethnically and racially of different backgrounds, but also training wise, like people from different types of medicine, holistic medicine, allopathic, all kinds. Wisconsin, Connecticut, Michigan, Asheville, North Carolina. Oh, Asheville is, Justice is coming from Asheville, is headed to No Kings protest on Saturday. Yeah, let me know if you're going to a Saturday protest. So, you know, there's a big nationwide No Kings protest on Saturday, and so there should be one near you. So let me know. If you just go to nokings.org, you can sign up for one, and if there isn't one in your town, you can start one. Just create one on that website, and you know, they'll promote it for you. You can promote it too, but you don't have to do it alone. Even if you just get, you know, 10 people, that's something. You know, like the first one I went to on, what was it, Sunday over here in Long Beach, we only had like 20 people. But you know what? We had signs, we were loud, a lot of people honked, and we were out there for a couple, you know, some folks were out there for a couple of hours, and then there was another one that was bigger, in the, you know, in the same area. There were like 2 little ones. And you know what was interesting is when I got there, I said to the organizer, I said, you know, some of my friends are at another protest like a few blocks away. Maybe we should join up the 2 protests. And she said, no, let's keep it small. And I did hear on some other chat that I'm on all these signal chats. I heard on another chat that I'm on that somebody found out that the I don't know if it was the police or the military or whoever. We have so many people in LA trying to police us. But they said that they're prepared to handle a protest of 10,000 people, but they're totally unprepared to handle 10 different protests of 1,000 people. And so there have been all of these small protests throughout LA County. And I think it's really effective. And I really love the idea of, you know, think global, act local, right? So like, just do what you can where you are. You don't have to get in a car and travel a long distance. You don't have to go through all that if you don't feel that that's appropriate for you. You can just organize your little neighborhood or your little town or village by just, you know, creating a No Kings event on nokings.org, and then, you know, people show up. Okay, we're starting to have questions come in. So I do want to talk today about the spiritual big picture. The last few posts I've been posting have been about just updating you on what I've been doing here locally with, you know, medicing and just, you know, volunteering, and also just giving people information about what's happening in LA because there's a lot of misinformation out there. But I also want to talk today about the bigger picture because I am just so excited right now. I'm so happy. I have not been happy for many months. Since January, I've been struggling, trying to stay hopeful, having sad days, right? It's been so much. But I have really felt a shift. And what's great is that I just feel like now, those of us who are dreaming women and 4 a.m. clubbers, we're all really happy, although I think a lot of us are suppressed, so maybe you can't see all of our posts, but we're all really happy because what we're seeing is that so many of the things that we saw in our dreams and visions for the last 7 months are starting to unfold now. And it's just been taking forever. So I want to go over some of that. And, you know, the funny thing is, as I was thinking about going live, I was like, I'm not even going to remember all the things I said because I was getting transmissions every day and posting every day, and I don't even remember them all. But I'm going to talk about the ones I do remember. And so let me just start that conversation, and then I am going to try to answer some questions as well. So I just want to remind you of some of the prophecies. So the original prophecy, of course, had to do with the fact that it was a, I don't know how much language I can use, so I'm going to keep using my story language. Because I have been noticing that my posts on TikTok are suppressed. So if you could please like, share, repost my posts, that would be great because they're totally suppressed. And all of my posts are positive and hopeful. And so my job is to help people to keep their vibration up, their hope up, and to help people to see the bigger picture. And so I really want my message out there for that reason. Kay Brennan said, I've been following you for over a year. I don't remember everything you said. Yeah, I don't either. Especially when you're dealing with psychic stuff, you know, when you're getting information in that way, you don't always remember it because it's not yours, right? It's not like I sat around and thought this stuff up. I got the information and then I found a way to deliver it. So my main job is just to be the channel and the interpreter. And so you haven't seen any of my posts? Thomas, is that Thomas? Yeah, that's because, you know, it's not being pushed out. So let me see. Yeah, Thomas Foster. So you're gonna have to go like search me out and then go watch my videos, because I have been posting every day again. There was a period of time when I wasn't posting every day, where I was posting like every other day, but I'm back to posting every day. So you just have to, yeah, the algorithm, you know. So you're gonna have to search me out, and then if you could like and repost. maybe that will help. But I do know that only in in the last week I've been posting a lot of stuff that's more explicitly political, and that tends to if you're not right wing, it tends to cause suppression, right? If you're right wing, they don't care. You say whatever you want. So that's probably part of it. Oh, so Keith said they have to look for me too. Karen said they only started seeing me recently. Green Feather said they haven't seen me lately. Okay, good. This one person said they've seen a lot of us lately. Okay, good. All right, so let's try to go over some of what I said over the month. So let's just start out with, and I guess I'll tell it in story form. There was a joust, and what I said on November 6th was, there was cheating. And that the person that won was the Lotus Queen, and that the other person had gotten the help of Starboy using his technology to change the outcome. I also talked about the 7 merchants, and so those included people that we've now seen some evidence that they are collaborating, like Amazon, Walmart, some of these CEOs. See, I'm afraid to say these names. I'm saying them, but should I be saying them? And where's my mod? I don't know if my mods are here yet. Evie or Iris. So let's see. So we have Theos, the person I call Theos, who likes to play with pals. That's another big time merchant who a lot of people are talking about right now. That was someone I identified really early on. So like when I identified Starboy and Theos and I think Zuckerberg, I identified a bunch of people long before there was anything in the news about them, right? And so I feel like some of that has been vindicated. Some of that, I feel like we now have evidence. We now all have we now have heard them say they did this, right? We've heard Starboy say, we've heard the head clown say, "Oh, he helped me," right? Now I was saying that way before he said that, so that was for me very good. I was like, "Oh, some evidence." And then of course we had our Economic Times article recently, which just kind of brought the story back up, saying again what we all said, that the machines were finagled. And we are also seeing this lawsuit right now, which is again evidence for what I was saying from the beginning, which is that there was shenanigans with the ticketing. But what I also said was that what was going to happen over time was that the merchants who were all supporting the head clown and who actually supported him not just in word but in deed, they all helped finance and also were in on the heist. So it was a band of thieves. It wasn't like they just gave him money, but that they were actually in on the heist from the beginning. And so what I said was that over time we were going to find out, or they were going to find out, that it wasn't actually in their best interests as businessmen to continue to be working with him. And that's because when they first organized the heist, they thought that they were just going to get really rich off of it, because that's what happened with the last time that he was the head clown, is that he just paid all his buddies off a lot of money, right? And so they were like, "Oh, we're going to get paid again, so we're going to help with this." So we are starting to see that, right? We started to see some pushback from Bozo the Clown, who runs the big amazing company. And we also saw that with the market that's on the wall. And so we have seen some of that dissent among the merchants, and now the biggest dissent has happened, and that's between Starboy and Head Clown. And so these were all things that I said that they were going to fall out, and that was going to be the beginning of the end. I also said that some of the politicians who are wearing the red noses were going to also become disenchanted when they realized that his goal really was to take all power away from them as well. And so we are starting to see that, and so that's why the puny petty bill is not getting passed, because some of those people are saying, well, wait a minute, because they're recognizing that it's not really serving their interest like they thought it was going to. I also talked about from the beginning that there was going to be a lot of FAFO, a lot of people who wore the hats that are red, who realized that he's not doing what they thought he was going to do, and we are seeing a lot of that. There's a lot of posts on social media by people saying they regret it. They regret putting their ticket in that way, that they didn't, I don't want to use that word, but they didn't know this is what they were choosing. And so there's been a lot of that, a lot of regret, a lot of backtracking, a lot of, wait a minute, whoa, I didn't sign up for Gestapo. I didn't know we were going to be, creating a Gestapo. That wasn't what I signed up for. But what's really exciting about this moment is that, I was told in my most recent vision that I shared as a film review that there was going to be, the call was going to come from inside the house, right? There was going to be fighting inside the big white tent among the clowns and the circus, and that there was going to be all of these people's parades around the big white tent, and that what I saw was there was going to be fighting initially. So yeah, I skipped a step. First there was going to be infighting. Then there was going to be fighting on the streets. And then that was going to be followed by unity, by people coming together and uniting against a common foe. And then that was going to lead to the circus being kicked out of town. Okay? So that's why I'm so happy right now, because we're seeing that part of the vision. We're seeing, so these raids, right? The cold water clown cars are going around and creating conflict, right? And mistreating people. And then other people protectors, are going out and trying to stop them. And then at the same time, we have resistors, people doing people's parades. And now we have the head clowns sending out every kind of, the National Guard, the Marines, right? He's doing everything he can to try to create, more fighting, right? But we're really peaceful, okay? So for most of us are really peaceful. There's a small group. There's always a small group of opportunistic looters, but they're really small. Our own mayor has come out and said most of the protesters are peaceful. There's just a really small number who aren't. And those really are not the people who are part of our movement, right? So, So I'm really excited because I can see that we're at the beginning of the end. So let me see what people are saying. So Justice is Coming said, I've had a vision and I keep hearing the witch is dead from the Wizard of Oz. You know what? I keep hearing that too. Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked witch, the witch is dead. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. I know I can't sing, but it's so fun. I have been hearing that song over and over. Oh yeah, Mina Bean said, and then he's threatening protesters on Saturday in DC. Okay, you have to see that as good news, because that's how scared he is, right? Because there are going to be more resistors at that parade than there are going to be supporters. And that's going to be really bad optics for him. And there's nothing they can do. I mean, because ultimately there's more of us. And so, yes, they can do crazy things like they're doing here in LA, where they're just like, shooting people with flashbangs and rubber bullets and just, they are being really capital V, right? The people with all the weapons are being really being very, right? With the pew-pews. But, so yeah, they can hurt people and they are hurting people, but it's not stopping the people. That's the thing, it's not stopping the people. The people are, we're Americans. We just got to remember that. We're Americans. This is what I was told too. So I was backtracking to another vision I shared, months ago. They said to me, do not worry about the ML. Everyone's worried about the ML. they said, do not worry, and do not worry about authoritarianism. They said, because, worry enough to do something, but don't start thinking this is going to be the end result. They said, because you're Americans, and Americans are so like self-centered. I know it sounds bad, individualistic. We just all want to do things our own way. We don't want to listen to anybody. Our whole country was founded on rebellion, and we don't get along well with others. We're like that kid in kindergarten, right? Who always wants to keep all the blocks to themselves. They always want to take everyone else's blocks. They don't want to listen to anybody. They don't want to collaborate. And when they do collaborate, they just want to tell other people what to do. Let's just be honest about who we are. Some of you probably don't want to hear this. But I love being an American, and I understand that this is a part of our character. And yeah, we could do better. I know we could work on this a little. But in this historical moment, it is working for us. Because we're just not going to go along with anything. We're just not. There's just no way. So yes, there's a minority of people who are cult followers who just, yes, yes or whatever you say, right? But that's such a small percentage of our population. Most of us, we don't even want someone to tell us, where to park, like when it's clearly marked, we're not going to let anybody completely control us, right? And we're seeing now evidence of that. So when I was being told that before, I was like, well, I do believe that, but I would like to see some evidence, right? Because there was a lot of doom and gloom, right? A lot of people were just like, oh, we'll never make it, it's all over, right? But no, people are rising up. And what I'm really excited about what's happening right now in Los Angeles is that, here's a guy who never went to the military, right? And so now he has just like no tactical knowledge. And this is totally working for us, right? Because why would you go after the strongest city in the strongest state with all your guns? Like, go after someone else so that you could get some wins under your belt, right? So you could be like, look, we defeated, Omaha, Nebraska, or whatever. No shade to Omaha, but I'm just saying it's a lot easier to go in with one of these military exercises in one of these smaller places where they don't have a history of organized uprisings. Los Angeles just has a really heavy-duty history of civil rights movements and uprisings from the 60s until the present, right? We've just had so many. And we're also, we're like the third or fourth largest economy in the world. As a state, we're very powerful. And then financially, we're just very powerful, but also size-wise, Los Angeles, the population of Los Angeles is bigger than the population of several states. So are you really going to take on that many people? Plus, the fact that we're diverse is a huge strength, because it's a lot harder to force people into kind of obedience and authoritarianism when it's a diverse group, right? That's why in, Schmatzi, Germany, what did they do? They tried to get rid of everybody who wasn't from this one ethnic group. They're like, oh, we got to get rid of the Star of David people. We got to get rid of the travelers. We got to get rid of all the black people. So they went after all of these groups. Evie, thank you, you're here, yay! Evie's one of my mods. She's been here with me from the beginning. She's awesome. Right? So it's much easier to control a population if they all think they belong to the one group and they can be convinced that it's in the best interest of their group, right? But like LA, everybody lives here, everybody. And we don't have a majority. There's no one group that's like the majority here. And so they're just never going to be successful here. And we're just, I mean, people are just standing on business here. And so what that means is the whole country is seeing what it looks like to fight this military industrial complex, which is armed to the T. We've now got all of these different forces against us. But we're still winning. You know, we are still winning. The people in Los Angeles are still winning. We're not defeated. We are interfering with the raids. We are, you know, not letting them, you know, squash our spirit. And what's happening is other people are seeing us and they're being inspired. And so lots of other places are now having their own solidarity parades. And so I just heard about Colorado having a really big one. And I've also heard that Texas, that the cold water clown cars are going into Texas now. Can someone confirm? You know, I don't think Texas is going to play around. I think Texas is going to give them a good fight too. Who's Lisa? Are you talking about me? Let's see. Some people call me Lisa. My name is Jennifer Lisa. Griselda says she's the leaf blower lady. I don't know who that is. Let's see. So Jenny has a theory. She says, oh, but he knew LA would fight and he wanted violence to justify further authoritarianism. Yeah, but the problem with that is that it's never going to succeed here. And so it's going to come across as a failure, right? So let's say he decided, oh, you know, he's trying to portray it. He's trying to portray us as rioters. There's no riots here. There's nothing like that going on. Everything is going fine here. There's no interruptions in our business or our traffic, or like you can just get to work and school and the roads are clear. There's no issues. But what we have is isolated parades popping up in different places, and we have people protectors popping up and trying to protect people. Oh, you know what else we have that's really exciting? The schools are now locking down and not allowing any cold water clowns to come into the school premises. And the governor just came out and said anyone who is on, or maybe it's the mayor of LA, I can't keep it straight, there's so much news all the time, has come out and said that the LAPD will protect the schools. And so if you are on school property, the LAPD will protect you from the cold water clown cars. Okay? And of course, our governor, Newsom, is coming out really strong, threatening to withhold the money that we pay that pays for all of the welfare in the rest of the country. You know, we pay for all the red states. It's our taxes that pay for the red states' welfare. Griselda wants people to feed the Marines and National Guard only. I don't know what that means. Oh, yes, it was moving. Okay, so I'm missing something. Oh, yes, I saw the people bringing flowers and laying them down for the National Guardsmen. I thought that was beautiful. And I was actually suggesting it for our upcoming parade, that we maybe get some flowers. Griselda wants to spread the message of peaceful protest in LA on Saturday. Yeah. Oh, my fan club has completed the first stage of the club quest. Ooh, I don't even know what that is, but that sounds fun. I don't think I picked a gift. Let me pick a gift. I'm supposed to do that, right? I used to go live all the time, and I would do this, and I forgot to do it because I got out of practice. Okay, how do I change this? Oh, maybe I can't do it? Can one of my mods do this? Maybe. All right, well, I think I'm going to give up. I don't know how to do it. Oh, right. Oh, wait, let me hit this button. All right. So for people who are just logging in, we're just coming here to give an update on the spiritual bigger picture and also what's going on in Los Angeles. I don't know if I did the right one, but I did it. Okay. Trying to close it. There we go. Okay. Yeah, isn't it great when they protect the kids? Oh, I don't know who that is. Oh, Marines just arrived. Yeah, so I've heard that. I haven't seen them. So let me give you an update on what my organization is doing. If we have, Griselda said, if we have moms with power tools ready to defend the kids, it will make Orange look bad. What are the power tools for? I like the imagery. Oh yeah, Yoli said the Marines don't have food, water. I heard that was true of the National Guard. They didn't have like a place to sleep. So sad. Mina Bean says bring flowers and flags to protest. Oh yeah, we are trying to gather flags and flowers actually. Yeah, Karen, all blue states subsidize red states. Yeah, that's the truth that people don't want to know. Oh, so now I understand what Griselda was saying. She wants the people to bring food to the Marines and National Guard. But when you said only, that's what confused me. We should feed everybody. So, like the resistors need to be fed. Everyone who's out there, the people protectors need to be fed. The medics, everyone needs to be fed. So Justice is Coming said that they're seeing huge events in Texas. And that's good to hear. I was wondering. Oh, I see. See, I was trying to figure out what Griselda was saying. So she's clarifying. She said, don't feed the frozen water and don't feed the LAPD. But I don't know. I don't understand that distinction because my understanding from people on the street is that the National Guard and the LAPD are using weapons against the people. So I'm not sure what the distinction is. But if they're not, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, Griselda. So I'm in LA. I don't know where you are, but I'm in LA. And I'm doing medic volunteer work. And so I'm talking to people at the front lines. And yes, they are getting injured by both National Guard and LAPD. That's what I've been told. But yeah, Evie, we should be using more code. I was using code, and then I started getting into the comments, and now I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, so Evie said, I feel bad for the military because this isn't their fight. So here's the thing. You can feel bad, but also keep in mind that historically, whenever there has been a flashy takeover, if you know what I mean. If we look at like World War II, examples like that, the reason they were successful is because people in various positions, including the military, cooperated. And so they need to be the ones to not cooperate. And if they're not going to not cooperate, if they're just going to follow orders and engage in immoral activities, then I don't feel sorry for them, right? So there are some people who are standing up for their values and refusing to go. So he tried to deploy 2,000 National Guard, and only 300 ended up coming. Now, I don't know if the update, because I know he tried to get 2,000 more, but the reason why he's doing that they're not telling you this part, is because a whole bunch of them are saying no. So they're refusing to come because they recognize it's not their fight. But then the other ones are going. So, everybody has a choice to make, right? You can choose to not cooperate with a flashy regime, or you can choose to cooperate with it. And there's lots of ways that you can not cooperate or resist or sabotage. So let's talk about, I want to get back to some of the spiritual big picture. IE, EA, the ones that are standing down have my respect, right? And that's what it's going to take, is that we're going to have enough people not cooperating, standing up for their values and saying, I didn't enlist for this. I enlisted to protect my country. I didn't enlist to use violence against the citizens. So yeah, Joni said, did the Marines actually show up? I haven't gotten confirmation of that yet. I got some messages that they were due to show up today, and I don't know if they have. So if someone else has actually physically seen them, put that in the chat. If you're actually in LA and you've seen them. And that's what we're doing. Like, people are so organized. The way that people are operating right now in terms of information is that when information is shared, if someone says, oh, we saw a sighting of frozen water, the requirement is they have to show a photograph and they have to show details. Like, it's on this road, at this address, at this time, here's a picture. So that way we're not going to have just rumors, right, running things. Because during times of crisis, rumors can always start. And so whenever I share something, it's based on either talking to somebody who was physically there, or seeing a photograph that someone sent me saying, yes, I saw this. And so I don't have anything about the Marines right now. I've just been told that they're coming today, but I haven't actually seen any pictures yet. So until I see some pictures, can't say whether they're here or not. Karen is pointing out that 300 out of 2,000 is only 16%. So yeah, let's look at that math. Isn't it inspiring? 84% of them said no. And someone correct me if I'm wrong. If you're associated with the National Guard, tell me if that's true. I know that I've seen it in several different places, that there are only 300. I know that if you look at the pictures that we have of what's going on in the streets, that there don't seem to be a lot of them. It's more LAPD. So I'm really hopeful about that, right? We have to look at, we have to choose to focus our attention on those aspects of the picture that are encouraging and that are leading us to have faith, right, and hope. And we could focus on the bad parts too, but if that's not going to help us prevail, right? If the ultimate goal is prevailing, we have to find ways to, maintain our momentum, maintain our positivity, maintain our energy, so that we can persist. And when people are depressed or overwhelmed or stressed out or feel like the situation is hopeless, they stop fighting. So, and there's been so many examples throughout history of people who were outmatched in terms of armament, sometimes in terms of money, in terms of even numbers sometimes, who still won. We can look at Vietnam, for example. And the reason they won is because they believed more strongly in what they were fighting for than the people they were fighting. And so we have that going for us too, because these people from the military who are being deployed because they didn't have the courage to say no, or didn't feel comfortable, or maybe they feel like they can't afford to risk court-martial or whatever might happen, doesn't mean their heart is in it just because they're here. And so some of them are going to join our side over time. They're not going to, their heart's not in it. And so you can't win when your heart isn't in it. And then they have a terrible strategist at the top, right? The head clown who doesn't know anything about strategy was like, let me go after the hardest city there is to defeat first. Let me go after the city that has the longest history of rebellion. Let's go after them. Let's go after the biggest city I can find, with the most people of color. Yeah, and EA also pointed out that many members of the military are undocumented and brown. So how long do you think they're going to stay dedicated to that mission? Okay, Craig, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, Trump's win is not legally at stake. Learn and read up on it. Sounds a little hostile. So can we try to stay polite in the chat? Can we try to talk to each other in a respectful way? Right? So if you have information you think I don't have, you can share that information, but you don't have to talk about it that way. Right? Let's try to stay respectful. And so feel free to put another chat and explain what you're talking about so we can all understand. Oh yeah, that's funny. Disney Laura said that people are posting icy conditions on driving maps to warn. I didn't know about that. That is so awesome. So let's everybody do that. I'm going to spread that to my people. I'm on some chats with some people who are putting out alerts about icy weather conditions, and so let's everybody do that on the driving the driving maps where it lets you put in there, conditions for other drivers. Like that was Waze, and I think now they do it on other apps too, but Waze was the first one that did it. Yeah, Gen Zers who are in the military. I mean, how long are they going to be able to stay on this side, to stay on that side, right? They're not. They're going to come over to this side. Yeah, Debbie, attendance is going to be really low at the DC parade, and there's going to be a lot of people's parades on the same day. Although some people are saying don't go to DC, just stay where you are and do your people's parade in your town. I don't know. What do people think about that? What do you think is a better strategy? I'd love to hear from people, because I'm still trying to think about it. I'm like, because I do feel like showing up in a really big visual way along that parade route would be very powerful, a very powerful statement. But other people are saying don't, because there might be a lot of right? A lot of harm that's enacted against people. So, but some people are more courageous than other people. Some people are okay with that. Some people are willing to risk bodily injury to stand up for what's right, and other people aren't. And we're all different. We all have different tasks. Like my guides have been clear with me that I need to try to stay out of harm's way because they have a role for me to play. I have a role to play as a dreaming woman who's meant to be sharing my visions with people. And so if I get harmed or put in jail, I won't be able to fulfill that mission. So everybody has to figure out, like, what is your mission? What is your purpose? What did you come here to do? We all have a life purpose. We all have something that we came to do. We all incarnated into this present moment because we have something to contribute. If you didn't want to be a part of this whole, I don't want to cuss, but I'm thinking of a funny expression, the S show. The worst show on earth, right? The circus fallout. If you didn't want to be here for this circus, you wouldn't have incarnated at this time, right? Your soul decided to incarnate at this time because it understood that, yes, you're going to have to go through some things, but ultimately we're shifting to a higher level of consciousness. And so if we just keep our eyes on the prize, right? That's an African American saying, right? Keep your eyes on the prize. And, you know, we developed that expression because when you're African American in this country, the United States, your whole life is about overcoming obstacles. Everywhere you go, you experience racism and people trying to prevent you from succeeding. And so the expression, keep your eyes on the prize, is really important because it's like when I was going to school to get my various degrees, I remember I would be thinking about that expression whenever things got bad. I was like, no, I just have to keep remembering my goal is to get this degree, or my goal is to get this degree so that I can do this work. My goal is to do this work so that I can, right, fulfill my purpose. So we have to always be focusing on what's our end goal. And our end goal is to really shift the consciousness of this planet. And so, like, another thing that I wanted to share some of the visions that I was shown that some of you are already aware of, but it's been so long now that I'm just reminding people. So another one that they said was that after January 20th, when I asked, okay, why? They said they explained it in a number of ways. One explanation I got had to do with corruption in government. And they said that these people are going to pretend, right? They're going to pretend that they're trying to get rid of corruption in government, which they're not. They are the most corrupt government that's ever existed, right? They're actually literally publicly paying people for favors. But because they want to come in and destroy things, right? So they've destroyed a lot of things. That's going to require that we rebuild, right? So when the people get the government back from the con men, we're going to have to rebuild a lot of things that were destroyed. And yeah, the corruption of the circus, someone said, so this person, Mina Bean, said the corruption of the circus is going across the world. Yeah, so we're seeing it worldwide. And, you know, the U.S. is an interesting place because, you know, spiritually, we're kind of like a jumping off point for a lot of things. So the good, bad, and the ugly, when it happens here, then we often see it spreading around the world. And so it's like the U.S. has this particular position, right? We're not the most enlightened country, right? Some people like to imagine that we are, but that's a joke, right? We're not the most enlightened country, but there's a way in which we are a, you know, provocateur. We're a trailblazer. We're somebody who kind of, as a country, we kind of spark things. And so we've had all these awful things happen here in terms of right-wing schmazzyism, and we've also seen it in other places. And we've also the same with corruption, the same with, you know, lots of things. Authoritarianism we see spreading. And so I don't know, I've been shown that the US has this particular role spiritually where we have an impact indirectly or directly on others. And sometimes it's a very bad thing, and sometimes it's a very good thing. And it's going to be a really good thing when we win this, right? When the people actually decide our future. And the reason that's happening too is because we've kind of had our democracy eroded even before this, right? So this current circus doesn't believe in democracy. They don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in the people, right? They believe in you know, a structure where one person or just a few people who are very wealthy make the decisions for the entire country. And so it's an extreme, but prior to this, we saw a lot of degradation of our democracy, of our republic. So things are kind of coming to a head. And sometimes it's like that, right? Things have to get really, 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 really bad before we say, okay, time to scrap this and start over. And so that's what my, my vision is. And I'll just say my disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. So that was my vision, that one of the reasons that things are happening this way is because we need, as a collective, for things to get bad enough for us to be willing to completely scrap things and start over and build just a much more equitable structure. Coconut tree unalived. Coconut tree unalived. I don't know who Coconut Tree is. Coconut Tree. Can you explain that, Mina Bean? Or Evie? Oh. Okay, you're having a question. Yeah, unalived is a code word. Coconut tree. I didn't just, I know Lotus Queen was always talking about, you didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. Oh, I'm trying to go up in the chat and figure out what this is about. Sites where people are unalived. Okay, I'm just checking the chat to see if I'm missing any questions. Swifty NZ, welcome back. My New Zealand sister. Large group of silent, not sign-holding people in chicken suits along the parade would be powerful. Okay, I love that. So I'm an artist, and I've been involved in a lot of artivist movements. And so artivism is where you use art for activism, where you use creativity. And so I've been in different groups where we use like street theater, different creative ways of expressing yourself. I've done a lot of poetry for movements. I'm a poet, performance art. And yes, I do think that the use of powerful symbols and art and creativity is really good. So I really love the flowers that people were giving to the National Guard. And I was just saying to my group, let's get flowers for Saturday so we can give them to everybody, resistors, National Guard, whoever. We can all walk around with flowers in our hair. And people are also getting flags and wearing flags and just trying to reclaim our American flag and take it back from people who are preaching hate. And I think that's a really powerful symbol. So when I asked that question earlier about what people think we should do at the Washington parade, Erie Girl said, I think a large audience will make him feel he's bigly, so sparse attendance on parade day is better. Oh. Evie is talking about love me some spicy Pope Leo for the schedule conflict. Yes, everybody tune in to Pope Leo. You don't have to be a Catholic. That's not the point. You can mute it. Just have it on. Have it on. It's going to make a statement. If you're at home, just turn it on. Yeah, Divine Feminine Rising is correct. Okay, Jenny has a question. What do you see ultimately happening to the clown with the orange nose? I have talked about this in some of my posts. So I started to see him in a state of lying in state back in January. And I've also seen him on a table receiving surgical interventions, frantic surgical interventions in an effort to keep him from laying in state. And a lot of other women, a lot of other dreaming women and 4 a.m. clubbers have seen the same thing. A lot of us have seen his departure from the mortal coil. So that's what I see happening. I don't see him, getting any bracelets. I do see him exiting stage left in that way. As far as Starboy, I see him getting out of Dodge. So I said that months ago that he's going to go into exile. And now that we're hearing threats from the head clown against Starboy saying, oh, maybe it's time to deport that one, or go after that one, it's now starting to make sense why he's going to leave. And also him leaving would be a very good sign about the truth coming out, right? Because he's not going to stick around once the truth comes out, because then he might be legally liable. But if he's in some other country and he has, what do you call that? Protections from, I'm forgetting the word, extradition, then he can spill the beans. So I'm kind of feeling hopeful for that. But all I've seen so far is that he's going to leave and the other one is going to leave stage left. Okay, so Chris is asking a question about, will we be okay after the laying in state? Yes, because what I've seen is the whole circus is forced to leave town. So it's not just that the orange-nosed clown has to leave or that the Starboy clown has to leave, but it's that the entire circus is forced to leave town by the people. And what I saw in its place was a council of mostly women, including our Lotus Queen, who then become the rulers of the land. And I don't know what that exact process is, but I just know that it's people-led. Let me see, what other questions do we have here? Didn't country offer him asylum? Yes, Vertressa asked, wasn't there a country that offered the star clown asylum? Yes, there was. The cold country, the country of vodka, offered him asylum. And I'm sure there's going to be other places that might offer him asylum because they might want to use his skills for their own corrupt takeovers, right? Of course, over in the cold country, they already have finagled contests. They've already perfected that over there. So they don't need his help with that. But there might be some other country who needs his help. Oh no! Disney Laura said the Pope isn't going to Chi-Town anymore, that he's going to be live streaming. Oh, that's unfortunate. Chicago's my hometown, and I was really hoping he was going to be there. That's his hometown. EA has a question. Should we be stockpiling? So I did recommend that people stock up on some supplies a while ago, and I haven't gotten anything different. I have stocked up, my family's stocked up, just in terms of like canned goods and water and batteries and those kind of things. And the reason I got that information, and when I got it, I didn't know why I got it. But now what I'm seeing with all of the people's parades and the military and this and that, I'm starting to see how it makes sense, because, there could be interruptions, right? So if there are interruptions, and for those of us who've been through anything, right? I was in a hurricane in Florida where we couldn't get food for a week just because of the hurricane. If you've ever been in a really bad storm, that can interfere with trucking routes or shipping routes or the delivery of goods. Sometimes if you don't have electricity, you can't, refrigerate your food, so you have to have canned goods. So it doesn't take much to interrupt our food supply in this country, unfortunately, which I think is a problem. We really should have a better system. So when I lived in Florida, we had a hurricane and all the food spoiled in the grocery stores because it's so hot there, and we had no electricity for several days. because of all the trees on the road, the trucks couldn't deliver food. And so we also just, you know, the restaurants were closed because there was no power. The banks, you couldn't access your money because the banks, the ATMs were electronic, the cash registers were electronic. So when you went to the grocery store or anything, you couldn't use your card for anything. You had to have cash. Like, we went from, you know, highly modern, sophisticated society to like survival mode, you know, in a few hours. So, and then with the pandemic, right, we saw that people, we couldn't get a lot of goods for a while because of the lockdown. So, I think that's why I was told to tell people to stock up, because maybe there'll be interruptions. But just keep in mind, I'm telling you this to say, it could just be a week, right? Just like a storm could interfere with the food for a week. But the thing is, if there's just 1 week where you can't go to the grocery store, you gotta have food in the house, right? You gotta have food and water. You gotta be prepared for that. We're used to just going to the store all the time. So just have your emergency supplies on hand. You know, I got some canned goods. I got batteries. I got water. I got some, you know, like food that can be prepared easily, you know. I luckily have a gas stove, so I'm not really worried about the stove. I feel like, you know, yeah, the electricity could go down, but I can't imagine the gas going out too. So I feel like I'm a little better insulated from disaster. But you know, sometimes we have earthquakes and lose electricity. So yeah, if there's, like, let's say there's any kind of supply chain interruption, that's what you would want to have supplies for. Okay. So don't panic. Don't feel like you have to, you know, stock up for Armageddon. That's not happening. Oh, nice. Kim said there was one Marine general who said his troops are not going to LA. See, that's all it takes is non-cooperation. So enough people non-cooperating. We have National Guard people who are not cooperating with this request. And so, you know, that's all we can do. Each one of us do our little part to fail to cooperate. So hello from, oh, I can't see your name. That's weird. So there's a person on here and they don't have a name. I didn't know that was a possibility. So no name person is from South Florida. And they said stocking up is important and they hope to be able to once able. So I know that it's hard to stack up if you don't have money. So just keep this in mind. You can find places where they have really cheap food, like dollar stores. You could get some canned goods there. Also, uh-oh, somebody's here. Hold on. Oh, thanks. All right, just got a delivery. Grocery outlet also has really cheap food. Also, if you're really poor, you can go to your food pantry and just try to go to more than one pantry, and try to stock up a little bit that way if you can. I don't know what all these sounds are, but I love them. Are those gifts? I'm hearing all these cool sounds. Oh, I reached my goal of those little $1 gifts. $1. What is it? Sorry, not $1. 1 point gifts. And I used to put all these different gifts in there, and I didn't do that today. I wonder if I could add some gifts. Evie and Iris, if you know how to add gifts, can you do it? Okay, let's see. So Janice is telling us that Starboy is following folks here on TikTok, some cronies, and from private account. Can you tell us more? Oh yeah, Mina Bean says I go to a Mexican grocery run by migrant workers. Yeah, like I have this dollar store near me that's run by Asian immigrants, and then down the street from it there's another, there's a Mexican grocery that also has inexpensive like canned goods. So, I mean, I know it can be, I know what it's like. I was living like that for a while, where I was having to eat out of food pantries and trying to find really cheap food. So I know it's a struggle, um, but also let me just say something about this though. Mutual aid. We should all be in mutual aid societies, and so this is one of the things that I've been saying in my posts for months too, was the importance of community and creating in-person community. And so what I had said, this is one of the things I got from my guides too, was it's really important for everybody to have a group of four people in your neighborhood that you're all friendly. You don't have to be best friends, but you're friendly. And that way, if something goes down, you can pool your resources, okay? So like back in November, I joined an organization in my town because I'm kind of new to where I live. I just moved here a year and a half ago. I didn't know a lot of people. So I joined an organization that I found online. I also just started speaking to all my neighbors. I was a dog owner until recently. My dog passed. And I just started talking to all the dog owners in my neighborhood and getting to know their names and, being friendly with them. And so that's what you want to do. You want to get to know your neighbors, be friendlies. Someone said my neighbors are horrible. They're not all horrible though. And I'm telling you this as a brown-skinned person who is gay, who lived in the South and who also lived in the Northwest. I lived in some really scary, racist, Trumpy places. I still found neighbors to be friends with. So if I could do it, you can do it. I don't even know who you are, but I'm just assuming, right? It's possible. Go to the library. I like to hang out at libraries. You can usually find someone at your neighborhood library that you have something in common with, or that is not crazy, right? Because people of the hats that are red persuasion don't tend to read. So the people who are at the library is going to be a different set of people, right? So good. Oh my God. They can't all be MAGAs, right? Everybody can't be a MAGA. And if they are, then you need to get in your car and go to the next town over and meet some people over there if that's all you can do, if there's absolutely nobody in your neighborhood. And if there is absolutely no one in your neighborhood, I have questions about that. That really raises a lot of questions. Why would you live with people like that? I would never stay in a place like that long term if absolutely everybody was that way, right? But there's usually some people, like I lived in Florida for many years. Florida, notoriously very, very red. But I always managed to find people. Either I've hung out with the spiritual people, go look for the spiritual people, the creative people, the artists, or the intellectuals. Those groups are going to not be of that persuasion. I used to be in Central Florida. It was pretty backwards. Okay, let me see if there's more questions. So, but then there are lots of progressive spots also in these red areas. Like Central Florida, I lived in this spiritualist community, and it was very progressive. And then all around us was really, really red. So like when I went to the store, it was really all these racist people, but then my neighbors that live right next to me were not that way, right? So, there are these blue dots, and the blue dots are not always as small as you think. Like, you're not the only blue dot. There are other blue dots. You just got to find them and connect the dots. So I now know 4 different people. No, more than that. I know 4 different households with a total of 6 different people in my neighborhood. And I have their numbers, I know where they live. And so if something goes down, we're all going to pool our resources. We're going to all see, what do you have in your cupboard? This is what I have, okay? And so don't feel like you have to go and buy all this food and stuff to last you forever. You just have to make some friends. Also grow a garden. I started a garden. All my friends started gardens. And so we all have food that we're going to share with whoever needs it. Right? Yeah, Dora said Margot is starting to wake up. And yeah, the Margos are waking up. They're having their FAFO moment. Evie wants us to do a meditation. So I usually do a meditation. And I guess just to protect this live, please go check out my TikTok shop. I have a, what is it called? A showcase of products you can purchase. And just if you can post something in the chat about the TikTok shop, that just helps to protect the account. Oh, I wanted to answer this question. Goddess Melissa said they can't afford to move. Yeah, I hear that. That's hard. So if you can't afford to move, then you gotta do that extra work to find those people. You can't just be isolated and sad. That's not gonna work out. You gotta find the people. No matter where you live, you have to find some other people that you can connect with. So EA says you haven't gotten each other's numbers. Yeah, collect some numbers. You know? There was a question I was about to answer. I keep getting distracted. Oh yeah, microgreens are easy to grow. I'm growing some microgreens. Okay, there was one other question I wanted to address before we do the meditation. Oh, I love this suggestion. Iced Cup of Happiness said, if you go to a coffee shop, make friends with a barista. They know a lot of people and resources. So that's another thing I do. I am very friendly to the people in all of the stores and places that I go. Like one of those shops that I go to all the time. I always talk to one of the people there. I know about her kids. I know about her pets. She knows about my family. You know, we're on a very friendly basis. And there's another store in my neighborhood where the same thing. I always go in there. In fact, I even go in there when I don't need anything, and I just go in there and buy a soda just so I can say hello and how are you guys doing, right? And so just get in the habit of doing those things. And then you're going to find some people who you, can share with. Okay. Oh, look at this. Cindy said they're having their first ever block party next week. Yes, yes. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do meditation. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. Oh, okay, that's what Lauren was trying to tell us. She said you have to block Starboy at least daily because I guess he has a lot of accounts that he's following us without our permission or something. Okay, so that's a good heads up. Oh, Trace said I look insanely gorgeous in this color. Oh, thank you. Let me show you the shirt too. So this shirt, I just got it at my my local farmer's market from a vendor there. And see, it says Indian motorcycles. So, well, first of all, I'm Indian, but also Native American Indian, right? But my great-grandfather owned an Indian motorcycles store, and he sold Indian motorcycles. So that's why I got this shirt, because it reminds me of him. Okay, so we're going to get ready to meditate, and I think I've addressed all the questions. Yeah, okay, Disney Laura, I want to agree with you. So Disney Laura said, remember, we have to accept red hats when they wake up. We don't want to be too mean. Okay, so let's discuss, to the extent that we can discuss when I'm the only one talking. But, feel free to put in the comments your opinion on that statement. What I've been talking about a lot for the last several months is the importance of unity, of red and blue coming together for purple. At the same time, I recognize that we don't want to condone hate, and we don't want to make people who have actively participated in the suffering of others too comfortable, right? So how do we, right? How do we walk that fine line? How do we keep people accountable and also participate in unity? I mean, I think that's a question we all have to answer. I'm not saying I have the answer. I just think it's a question we need to think about, especially because I've been thinking a lot about history. You know, one of my degrees is in history, and so I'm always interested in, you know, what history could inform us, how it can inform the current moment, how history can inform the current moment. And I was reading this book about Italy during World War II, and one of the things that was successful was that the people who were freedom fighters, they made a point of keeping track of who the collaborators were with Nazism. And after the war, they held them to account, right? They had tribunals, they had trials. They didn't end up holding them all to account, but there was a campaign to do that. But then there were other people who were like, oh, let's just forgive and forget. But other people said, if you don't have them accountable, if there's no consequences, then this will happen again. And so we had the same situation in South Africa, right, where there were all of these people of a certain hue who had engaged in a lot of hate and violence that had resulted in a lot of deaths of a people who had a different color hue, right? And so there were these truth and reconciliation tribunals. We saw the same thing after the genocide in Rwanda, where people wanted to have these hearings to talk about, okay, you were one of the people that collaborated with the G side, or the, in our case, the manhunts and the human rights abuses that are happening in our country right now. So we want to keep those people accountable so that it doesn't happen again, but we also have to find a way to do that so that they can like evolve, right? We want them to be held accountable, but we also want them to evolve. Okay, so that's my position. But let me hear what people have to say. I'm going to check the comments to see what people have to say. Who's keeping the bad list? LOL. I don't know that anyone's keeping a list, but I'm just saying that when I looked at other countries, their history, that's what I saw, is that they kept track so that people couldn't say later, oh no, I was always against the flashyism. And it's like, no, actually you collaborated with it, you facilitated it, you were one of the people who was actually, you know, committing crimes. But this is where focus on your neighborhood is important, right? Like, keep track of your neighborhood, you know, and this is just a survival tactic too, you know. Who is engaging in activities that might result in you getting harmed or your neighbor getting harmed? We need to know that, right? We're going to need to know it later too, so that we can have some healing, right? Truth and reconciliation. So Om Shanti said, I dreamed that the circus people were labeled. There should be a path to reparation, says Chase the Joy. Yeah, and there should be a path for reparation for everybody, right? And then Jesse said we could forgive people without letting them back into our lives. Exactly. We got to keep receipts. EA, I agree. It's hard to know who to trust. Oh, Melissa said she just bought a Juneteenth shirt from my shop. Oh, thanks. Yeah, Evie pointed out, you know, they are in a cult. So we got to factor that in too. There's some compromised psychology, right? For some of them, we have to keep that in mind. We don't know how compromised they were when they became susceptible, right, to this way of thinking. And so some of them may need healing. They might need education. I'm not saying we have to forgive everybody if that's not something you feel comfortable doing. But we do have to find a way to evolve, right? We have to find a way to move forward. And we can't move forward by just forgetting and forgiving, because that's been one of the problems with our country already, right? We have this horribly violent history where my people were the victims of genocide. Both my peoples were the victims of genocide and enslavement. Just unspeakable crimes were committed against my people and continue to be committed against my people. And burying our head in the sand and acting like that didn't happen or that it's not happening is not going to help us evolve, right? We're going to have to actually face up to it. We're going to have to talk about it. We're going to have to talk about all these children that were put in cages. Like, as a country, we're going to have to face this evil, right? We're going to have to talk about it. We're going to have to talk about who did it, we're going to have to, why they did it. And we're going to have to try to help everybody evolve to a point where we all understand that it's morally reprehensible to do that to children. Like, we all need to get to that level of understanding, right? It's not a political position, it's a moral position. Is it okay to put children in cages under any circumstances? No, there are never any circumstances where it's okay to put children in cages. So we need to get to that point of understanding. Is it okay to just shoot black people because they're black? No, it's never okay. We have to get to that point of understanding. And which is, what the Black Lives Movement was about, was trying to get people to think about why black lives just aren't valued in this country, why people can just be shot and killed and beaten and there's just no consequence and no outrage. As a country, we need to evolve on that issue, right? And if we're all going to raise our consciousness, we need to face our shadows, right? As a country. And we're just living in our most recent shadow. Right? We got a lot of shadows. It's not the only shadow we got. And a lot of us are guilty, right? I think that sometimes we're so focused on pointing at the other person. Well, that person's racist. Well, that person's sexist. And then you yourself might be homophobic, right? You're also the problem. So, or classist, right? Like, we all have, a lot of us have blind spots based on our privilege, right? So, like, I'm educated and intelligent, and that gives me a certain amount of privilege over people who are not educated, right? Or not intelligent. And if I'm not conscious of that, I might start thinking that I'm better than them or that I should get better treatment than them, right? And so we all have to become more conscious of our privilege and of how our privilege oppresses others. And there's a lot of different ways that can happen. But we are going to meditate. But we can get to all these interesting conversations all night, right? I'm supposed to be going to what time is it? I'm going to a medic training at 7, so I need to, can't be on here all night. For those who aren't following me, I've been posting about how I've been doing some medic work for the movement. Trying to read this. All right, so let's do a short meditation, because one of the things that I have been saying from the beginning is that one of the most important things that we can do to deal with this current situation is to envision the future that we want to see. And our visions, our dreams really do influence reality. And so, my guides told me to do this, so I was doing a lot of it before, doing these daily meditations, and now I'm just doing occasional meditations. But what we want to do is envision the world we want to see. So I'm going to lead you in a guided meditation where we're going to do that. And so I want you to just get comfortable. You might want to stretch and yawn. And begin to take a nice deep breath. Inhaling slowly and deeply, and exhaling slowly and deeply. And as you inhale, just imagine that you are inhaling relaxing blue light. And the blue light is moving all through your body, bringing peace and relaxation. And now imagine with each out-breath, you are exhaling gray smoke. And the gray smoke represents any fear, doubt, worry that you are releasing. And just breathe in the peace and breathe out the stress, so that with each breath you feel more and more relaxed and more free. Now imagine, if you will, a circle of bright white light on the crown of your head. It's tingling and vibrating in a wonderful sensation. And as you focus your attention on this bright white light, it turns into a cylinder of white light as it moves up, up, up into a cylinder of bright white light. And the cylinder of bright white light is growing up, up, up into the sky, 1 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet up into the sky. And in your mind's eye, you look up and you see a giant golden sun. And you recognize this golden sun, for this is your higher self. And you take your cylinder of bright white light and you plug it into this golden sun, and you begin to charge, charge, charge up. All of this divine source light flows down into the crown of your head and moves down through your body, filling you up with light and love. The light moves down into each chakra, into your third eye. It spins and expands, and it moves down into your throat chakra, where it spins and expands, and then down into your heart chakra, where it spins and expands, down into your solar plexus, where it spins and expands, down into your navel, spinning and expanding, finally into your perineum, where it spins and expands, and then it moves down to your feet and then up and around you in a giant ball of rainbow light. And you marinate in this wonderful bubble of light. Inside this bubble, you are protected. You are expanded. Feeling big and bold and beautiful, connected to your infinite supply of source energy, flowing down into you perpetually. You feel yourself getting bigger and bolder and brighter. And in this expanded state, you are ready to go on a journey. In your mind's eye, you see above you, ahead of you, a path. And you begin to float in your bubble down this path leading into the future. And as you float down this path, images are rushing by on either side of you, and you just get glimpses of things that are happening as you move into the future. And you are headed towards your ideal future. And when you get to your ideal future, you stop, and now you are hovering above the ideal future. And from this position, you can look down and see your life. You can see yourself in the future. Look now and see, what are you doing? You are happy. You have arrived. Notice everything about this ideal future, what you're doing, saying, being, feeling. Tune in to how happy you are. Feel what that feels like. Your satisfaction, your sense of accomplishment, your peace. Now zoom out and see your family, your friends, your neighbors, and notice what they're doing in this ideal future. What are they doing? Now zoom out to your whole neighborhood and just notice everything about it. The feeling, the climate, the way people are interacting with one another, how they're walking and talking, what they're doing, what they're saying. Now zoom out again to your town, your village, your city, in the ideal future. And just notice, what is it like? What does it sound like, feel like, look like? Are people celebrating? Are people kind to one another? Are people well fed? Are they getting along? What are the animals doing and the plants? Now zoom out. As you're hovering above, you can see your whole state or province. And just notice, what are people doing in this ideal future? What is the tenor, the vibe of your state? How is it better? Happier, more peaceful? And now let us zoom out again so that we can see the entire country, your entire country. How does it feel? How does it look? How are people behaving? Are people celebrating? Are things running more smoothly? Just notice how things are better. Now zoom out one more time and notice the whole world and the ideal future. What is it like? How is it different? How have we evolved? Just notice. And now let's float back down closer, and let's float down to the capital of the United States, to Washington, D.C., in the ideal future, when we have new leaders doing things in a new way. And let us go down to that dais where our new leader is being sworn in. And what do you see? Our new leader is being sworn in, and she's smiling. And there's all these people celebrating with champagne and cake and patting each other on the back. And we're all there celebrating together, hugging one another, congratulating ourselves, saying, we did it, we did it. We're so proud of ourselves, for we all came together as a country and we brought about this ideal future with this ideal government. And just notice everything about this scene and just feel the joy, the jubilation, the celebration. You're there with your friends, with your family, with all the people who are important to you. And you all helped make this happen. And you're all so proud of yourselves, congratulating one another, thanking one another for all of the work that you put in to come together as a country and make this possible. And just wallow in that wonderful feeling, marinate in that feeling. Feels so good. We made it. We made it. We did it. We banded together. The future is bright. Now I want you to bring that feeling back with you, put it into your heart and keep it as you float back down to your current self and the current life, this current moment, floating back down into your body and your apartment, your house, bringing all of that feeling back, those visions back with you to the present moment. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And when you're back, just if you want to add something in the chat about what you envisioned, what you felt, please feel free to share. And I hope you brought that feeling back with you, because dreams are real and we can dream our future into our present. I always see the Lotus Queen on the dais, although lately I see her with a whole council of women. And I just see all these people who are all there with them, because we all made it happen. Evie said I did. I saw KH being inaugurated in her light violet blue suit. Gail saw peace, unity, and love. Midwest Gal said that she's grateful for me. Thank you. I'm glad. I wanted to stay there, says Cindy. I didn't want to come back. So, you can return there anytime you want. Just go into a meditation and just visualize the future. The ideal future. Just keep doing it on a regular basis. Yeah, and so it is, says I am, what's your name? I am Lakanara. And so it is. I love what we have co-created. Yes, the Lotus Queen is there. It was beautiful. Jan's Dragon said it's wonderful to be back with you. Yes, it's wonderful for me as well. Well, thank you, everybody. I've got to go to my medic training now. I've been trying to brush up on my first aid so I can help out. I'll see you again soon. I have to say this, unfortunately. If you could please repost and share and like and copy link and all those things on my posts. I am having a hard time getting mine out there lately. I think because I'm talking about politics. I am going to start doing more storytelling again, but just in this present moment, because I'm just, doing on the ground work and so many eyes are on Los Angeles. I wanted to give people updates about what was going on because I felt like that was information people needed. So that's why I'm talking about those things right now. I just think it's really important. But thank you, everybody, for joining me, and thanks for sharing, and I'll talk to you soon. Remember, form community, keep visualizing the future, and know that we will prevail. Take care. All right, let's see. Oh, I love you too, El Ray. Thank you. Thank you for the love. Stay safe. I am. Although I'm involved with stuff, I'm not doing the really dangerous stuff. I'm not like out there in the way that other people are. I'm more like support, behind the scenes type help. So, I did a little bit of marching, but I'm trying to keep myself safe so that I can do this work. So I'm just, All right. I will see you next time.